Okay. So, thank you, Mr. President. Could I ask you just to stay on the stage for a second, please, Jean? Because, Nico, it's been a fantastic year for you, but I know before we got started this afternoon, you wanted to say a few words.
Yeah, so for me, thank you all for coming. For me, it's a very special day today. Of course, as you know, to receive the trophy this evening. It's going to be amazing. But for another reason as well, I want to take the opportunity to announce that I've decided to end my Formula One career in this moment here on Monday. And yeah, so to explain, it's been ever since I started when I was 6 years old. I had, a very, very clear dream, and that was to become Formula One world champion. And it was very, very clear in my mind, as long as I can think when I was growing up. And now I've achieved that. I've put everything into it for 25 years of racing, and with the help of everybody around me, with the help of fans, and the help of my team and my family and everybody and my friends, I've managed to achieve that this year. So it's been an incredible experience for me, which I'll remember forever.
I've always felt a little bit shortchanged since Nico Rosberg abruptly left the grid at the end of the 2016 season. No real time to digest the impact this would leave on the sport. Nothing at all, in fact. I can distinctly remember coming back to my university dorm that one evening, switching on my laptop, and among the flurry of emails I received a notification announcing the newly crowned champion was to depart from the sport. I was genuinely shocked, as I'm sure much of the grid was at the time, if not all of it. On the one hand, we saluted the champion for his remarkable fight to the top and commend his bravery to bow out while on top as well. But on the other hand, we can also come to the agreement that by Rosberg retiring from the sport, we also missed a once-in-a-generation inter-team duel, which for all-encompassing reasons may have rewrote the history books. This is what if Nico Rosberg never retired. So, to give some context on what happened that fateful year, it's actually worthwhile going back 4 seasons prior to when the new partnership formed between the incoming champion Lewis Hamilton, Nico Rosberg, and the powerhouse Mercedes. The German manufacturer had spent years in development for a brand new hybrid powertrain and would provide an important bedrock to which both Hamilton and Rosberg would produce some of the sport's most brilliant drives. Between the pair, they would amass 54 wins, 3 consecutive drivers and constructors championships, and wouldn't even leave behind a close second. Now, while the statistics speak for themselves, what motorsports pundits really enthralled themselves with was the approach to which the pairing would go about their business. You see, there hasn't necessarily ever been a driver pairing like the two before, in the sense that 2 friends grew up together, raced their hearts out, and then reached a top level of motor racing to then nearly have a complete falling out. Neither would give an inch, and quite often the wheel-to-wheel action resulted in several dramatic clashes during their time as teammates. The reality of the 4 seasons that Hamilton and Rosberg spent together was nothing short of spectacular, and would eventually end with Rosberg on top, a fact that Lewis will have to live with forever despite hotly approaching the all-time title record. This feud was for honour, and to be completely honest, in my own opinion, it was the only reason why Rosberg ever became champion. Let's talk numbers. Nico Rosberg retired on 23 wins, which makes him 12th on the all-time most wins table. This feat on its own already puts him in the top 2% of drivers that have ever been offered a title-winning bid. However, had he actually continued for another 2 or 3 more years, Rosberg would have likely climbed to 6 on the most successful drivers list, toppling over none other than Fernando Alonso, who sits only 9 races above him. It's also very possible for him to have won another world championship or 2, as he was in the strongest team which continued to win multiple championships after his departure. This is one of the major attributions to what made his retirement so shocking. He was handing a guaranteed race-winning seat to another driver, which in this sport is just unheard of. Now, we're on the verge of seeing Lewis Hamilton collect his 7th World Championship this year, and yes, while we're only a couple of races into the season, it's more than likely he's poised to equaling the all-time record by the end of the 2020 calendar. And then there's also another coveted statistic that many thought could never be reached, or at least not even remotely touched for another 10 years or so. And that's the all-time win record, which currently stands at 91 race victories, held by none other than Michael Schumacher. Had Rosberg remained at Mercedes after the 2016 season, I can only assume that at least 4 race wins per season would have likely have gone to Nico instead of Lewis, and that would have amounted to 16 wins over 4 seasons. And if we ignore the fact that the 2026 schedule has been massively disrupted because of a global pandemic, the loss of so many victories would delay Hamilton's charge to the #1 highest achieving driver of all time. And the delay may end up leading to him never reaching that spot at all, because the sport is always changing with its technical revisions every few seasons. It means that Mercedes could be undercut by the likes of Red Bull and Verstappen to win races and championships, and combine this with Verstappen yet to reach his prime and the fact that Hamilton is coming to the end of his career, by Nico staying in the sport, it could have had a profound effect on the history of the records. Another alternative timeline could be the inevitable clashing between the two teammates, resulting in the rival team such as Ferrari or Red Bull taking the opportunity to take gain over both Lewis and Nico. In this case, I can only see Sebastian Vettel doing so, especially in 2018, and that would have equalised Lewis and Sebastian by this point in terms of race wins. It would also completely cement Vettel's legacy as one of the greatest drivers in the sport, as such an achievement would deconstruct the argument that Seb couldn't win outside of a Red Bull car. Now, there's also another reality that may never have come to fruition if Nico never retired so soon. Over the past 4 years, Nico has stepped into the realm of YouTube and has gathered an enormous following already. Yes, he does have editors and crew to help him upload these videos, but largely his presence on YouTube draws in a wider audience in Formula 1, and this is something that other drivers, even younger than him, aren't able to do. Now, if you haven't done so already, check out his channel right now, and he's going through some leadership motivational vibes, and to be honest, it's actually quite good. Even for people who aren't necessarily invested in motor racing, the content that is uploaded is genuinely engaging. Now, why is this important enough for me to mention this in this short segment? Well, I didn't really resonate with Rosberg while he was racing all too much. He never struck me as someone who has genuine character as an influential and inspiring individual. In fact, I was borderline annoyed every time he'd win and not his teammate. This channel has quite literally flipped this unfair opinion of him on its head. And for the first time, I genuinely believe that there's a Formula 1 champion who is doing bigger and more meaningful things outside of the car than when he was doing it inside. Now that's a true world champion. So, here we are midway through the 2020 season, 4 years after the 2016 champion had left the sport. It's fair to say his departure was a shock for the entire motorsport world, and one that his then teammate Lewis Hamilton has taken full advantage of. With Valtteri Bottas only ever to show glimpses of genuine championship drives, the consistency of Lewis's racecraft has proven to be the best combination for the German team. A lead driver, a very good support driver, and one unfathomably quick car. Something only really possible because Nico Rosberg had left the sport.